And when they went to the Queen to tell her her subjects had no bread, do you know what she said?
Let them eat cake.
We're
getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of the Peasant's Perspective. This is awesome. All right, everybody. I am in Spokane, Washington this morning, which is why I am not in the office. It's also why we're not on time. It is what it is. Ron, it's good to see you. Look at this. We're figuring it out. Okay, so I'm in kind of a weird deal because I'm sitting out on a porch right now. As you guys can see, there's beautiful Spokane or something out there. It's a
little cold.
It is a little bit chilly. It is the eastern side of Washington. And obviously, I am sitting outside holding my microphone with my camera on a little stand here. So we'll just roll forward tomorrow. And if the sound sucks and the quality sucks, sorry, at least we put on a show. So yesterday we had a lot of really big news. We got peace in the Middle East. We have Letitia James has been prosecuted. I'm sure Dominion voting machines got bought out. Isn't that fun? So a lot of big news yesterday. Let's go ahead and start out with Jesse Waters on Fox News talking about peace in the Middle East and just kind of his whole take on it. We'll play this for a couple minutes.
Remember the whisper that changed the world? Bush heard war. Trump heard peace. And the world's celebrating. Decided to get in on the party too. He gave Israel a ring and said, "Your families are coming home."
Mr. President, we believe in you. We know you've done so much for us over the past, since you became a president.
God bless you, Mr. President. God bless America.
Thank you very much. You did take care of yourself. The hostages will come back. They're coming back on Monday.
All of that.
Donald Trump spent all night in the Oval Office, putting the finishing touches on the Israeli-Palestinian peace deal. He walked into his quarterly cabinet meeting, and it was all love.
I don't know one day perhaps the entire story will be told about the events of yesterday, but suffice it to say, it's not an exaggeration that none of it would have been possible without the President of the United States being involved.
Next week, the last remaining hostages will return to Israel and be reunited with their families.
At some point very soon, we are going to see 20 living human beings emerge from the darkness into the light for the first time in 2 years. I think it will go down as a historic moment in the history of our country, and something our country should be very proud of, that we have a president that's committed to not just peace, but to the human aspect of reuniting these families.
The front page of the Jerusalem Post, he's bringing them home. Lives will always be more important than land. You can get land back, but you can't get lives back. And guess what day tomorrow is? Nobel Peace Prize Day. And Trump hasn't been thinking about it at all.
I know this, that nobody in history has solved 8 wars in a period of 9 months. And I've stopped 8 wars. So that's never happened before. But they'll have to do what they do. Whatever they do is fine. I know this. I didn't do it for that. I did it because I saved a lot of lives.
Trump.
So yesterday, obviously, Trump is in the middle of a cabinet meeting, and all of a sudden, someone walks in, whispers in his ear, and it's a peace deal.
How
How cool is that? Now we've had a couple kind of false start peace deals, so we'll have to see how this one goes. But it's pretty impressive. What do you think about that, Ron?
I think your microphone's doubling.
My microphone is doubling. I bet
Or maybe it's on your.
Nope. How's
There you
that?
go.
Did
That's
that fix
way
it?
better. Yes.
Okay, so I've got two
Laptop
laptops
mic.
open, one to stream, one to do the show on, and the one that was streaming was listening.
Yes.
Apologize for that, guys.
So
You guys
my
really
first.
are the best listeners in all of the podcast universe to stick around with us as we do this.
Well, the first thing I did was just some quick math and was like, ooh, 20. I was like, ooh, that means that only about half of the people that are still there are alive. It's like, ugh, that's not fun. But
yeah, they've had a few hostages come home, but they do expect some bodies, lots of bodies.
yeah.
Actually.
Well,
In
I
fact,
think the original count wasn't at like 48, so that means there'd be 28 deceased.
Yeah, and I think
Ugh.
it's going to be bad, but they are coming home.
But
getting their bodies.
They are coming home.
Yep, it's a big deal. Okay, so here's some reaction to it.
I think it's Bibi Netanyahu has earned the right to have a tragic vision about how international events go and how the situation in his neighborhood goes. But this is one of these places where I think Trump's approach is better. Trump, this is indisputably a diplomatic victory that he deserves a lot of credit for by being able to force not just Bibi Netanyahu, but also force the Turks and some others to force the hands of Hamas and other stakeholders in the region. And I don't want to take anything away from it. It's rare I come on here and praise the guy, so I should do it forthrightly. I would add one point to Peter's point in the setup piece. There's another major player in why Hamas agreed to do this and why this was possible, and it's the IDF. 2 years ago, Israel had 7 essentially enemies on 7 fronts. It kicked the asses of 6.5 of them, including Iran, which was the linchpin of all of it. Military victory actually forces opportunities for diplomatic change that Trump, to his credit, took advantage of. I think there are a million ways this thing can all go wrong, and there are a million reasons to think it probably will at some point. But if hostages start coming home, that by itself is a huge victory.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, agree.
One of the things now, do you know who that is that was saying that? Why I even played that clip? I didn't set it up with who it was. That's Jonah Goldberg. He's like one of the biggest Trump haters there is.
Oh,
he's like, I mean, you can tell how big of a hater he is. And Israel kicked Iran's ass. Yeah, with a few B-52s from our end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, even Trump hater. And I don't know, this show's not going to be very long today because clearly I want to go enjoy.
Because you're cold.
Enjoy some of that, get warmed up. But clearly, even people who are actual Trump haters know that this is a big deal. Think about how big a deal it is to get people to stop fighting. This is not small. These are wars. Like vindictiveness, grudges, hate, because family's been killed, territory's been lost, livelihoods have been lost. So to be able to negotiate a peace deal is pretty good. This was starting to look a little bit like a war of attrition, like it was just going to go forever and ever and ever. And we don't have wars of annihilation anymore because of nukes. It becomes wars of attrition. How long can you keep it going without escalating it enough to where we enter into, nuclear weapons? That's the deal. So I'm really glad to see the conflict resolving. And John Fetterman had some good praise to say about it too. So let's take a listen there.
I know I have I've taken a lot of criticism because I've been very committed to Israel from the door of this. I don't really understand that. I think our party should have been firmly behind Israel through this, but I'm going to follow Israel through it. And President Trump has a very strong commitment to Israel, and that's why I celebrate and support most of the things that they've done, including the Iranian nuclear sites. I believe I might have been the only Democrat that supported them through it. So now today, I think it's entirely appropriate to celebrate this. thank God this terrible war is going to end, and these poor souls kept underground for over 2 years can come back home. So I don't understand why anyone's reaction would be other than that. Well, I know I have.
Yeah. Why would anybody's reaction be other than great?
Well, if you're a warmonger, I don't know.
Warmonger, I mean, it's bad for business.
Yeah.
So the really great thing about where we're at with all this is Trump did something that no one has ever done to Israel. He basically backed them into a corner. He backed the entire Middle East into a corner doing this. I'm blown away. I really did think that Hamas would have to be gone. And maybe they are gone. Maybe that's the key to this whole thing is they're, you're dealing with a couple like sergeant majors who are like, we're all that's left. When the private in the army signs the treaty or the peace thing, you know they're beat. I wanted to look up and see if Trump won the Nobel Peace Prize this morning. It's supposed to come out at 5 a.m. Oh my goodness. Make all the jokes you want. The Nobel Peace Prize was, oh my goodness.
Uh-oh.
Trump was nominated for the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize. Let me share this. I just pulled this up, but don't know what it says, so I'm reading it live with you guys. By several figures, including Malta's foreign minister. Shortly after the Nobel Peace Prize was announced on Friday, Norway, home of the Independent Nobel Committee, is bracing for diplomatic fireworks for not awarding it to Donald Trump. According to users on social media, many say that Norway must not only defend the committee's neutrality, but also prepare for possible fallout from fierce rhetoric to questions about Norway's international relations. Some reports say that Norway is readying itself to Trump's wrath. Norway is bracing for Trump's reaction if he does not win the Nobel Peace Prize, stating that U.S. president may impose tariffs, demand higher NATO contributions, or even declare Norway an enemy, according to the report in The Guardian.
What is this? The Onion?
Oh, this is NDTV. I don't know what this is. Wow. Each year, nominations must be submitted by January 31st. Oh man. So who got it? Trump also claimed. It doesn't even say who got it. It's more
well, this
news
is clearly
that Trump didn't get it than who got it.
Clearly a bigger story.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That is stinking hilarious. That is really funny.
So they gave it to Maria Machado.
Maria Machado?
Yeah.
What did Maria Machado do to deserve it?
She's a Venezuelan politician and industrial engineer, prominent opposition leader. She served as a member of the National Assembly from 2011 to 2014. I don't know what she did. For her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy.
Where at? In Venezuela?
Yeah.
These people are sick. I just watched this video last night about we don't live in a democracy. A democracy is mob rule. We live in a republic where the rights of the minority are protected. And I just think about going from what did it call? Totalitarian or authoritarianism?
Take your pick.
So basically going from a Republican form
dictatorship,
which is what Venezuela had, right?
Yeah.
Which had a strongman leader, I don't know, to restoring democracy, Maduro.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is this is going to parlay into our next story when we get to it in a second, is the Dominion voting machines coming out of Venezuela. Oh my goodness. What a freaking joke. Okay.
But
first, you've probably noticed Rumble is growing fast and it's not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech, and that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium. an easy way to upgrade your experience with Premium. You get ad-free viewing across the platform, no pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite content creators. Who knows? Maybe at the end of the show, we'll even watch the sunrise. Right now, Rumble is offering 10% off an annual subscription. Just go to rumble.com premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. That's rumble.com premium, promo code STUDIO. No ads, more freedom, and content you actually care about. And I froze.
Oh no.
Right at
It
the
got
end.
it got out. It got out.
Okay, as long as everybody subscribes to Rumble Premium, we're good.
Yes.
Okay. So the other thing that happened yesterday, which is really, I saw this and I just thought, you got to be kidding me. Okay, so DC Drano. So what happened yesterday? There's news stories all over the place, but basically what's going on here is Dominion voting machines got sold. So they got sold to this guy, Litterer. Dominion Voting Systems, one of the nation's largest equipment providers, has been sold to Liberty Vote, a Missouri-based company founded by former Republican election official Scott Lidendecker. That's it, Ron. We got to go to Missouri. That is now the center of the universe.
Yep, ground zero.
Yeah, ground zero. Lidendecker, who previously developed software to help poll workers verify voters and check in at polling sites, described the acquisition as a steps towards restoring faith in the U.S. elections. Liberty Vote signals a new chapter for American elections, one where trust is rebuilt from the ground up, he said. You probably should have just built it from the ground up instead of buying a voting machine company that's corrupt.
Yeah.
And simplicity. Likely plans to conduct a full review of Dominion's equipment before the 2026 midterms, and will rebuild the retire machines as necessary. Dominion machines were used in 27 states during the 2024 election. Lindenbacher has long-standing ties to Republican leadership in Missouri, from a former Secretary of State Matt Blunt, appointed to investigate St. Louis elections administrations in 2020, to some other stuff. So here's the thing.
I feel better already. Oh, geez.
As part of the deal, Liberty reportedly asked Dominion to resolve several defamation lawsuits stemming from claims about the 2020 election. Dominion recently reached undisclosed settlements with Rudy Giuliani, lie, Sidney Powell, lie, and One American News, lie. A Liberty spokesman said the acquisition does not require regulatory approval. I don't know if those are all lies, but I've been told by other sources that they did not settle with those people. Mike Lindell is not on that list. There's other media reporting saying they settled with Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell's like, my only settlement will be when you melt those things down. Like, we are not settling.
Yeah.
And the general consensus around this. So DC Drano goes on to say in here, he goes, my hot take on the Dominion sale is the embedded deep state operatives cleaned out all the evidence and abandoned ship once Trump won last November. That seems plausible. We also know the Venezuela tie-in, and right now Venezuela is surrounded by Navy ships, might be one of the reasons this thing got sold. Allegedly, it's a Canadian company, but remember, we went through Admiral Robinson stuff, and Venezuela still controls this, right, through China. And this is the thing that nobody wants to talk about, the fact that Venezuela is so deeply involved in American elections. And what did it say? 127 how many other nations all over the world? It's the world's largest voting company. So he goes, absolutely crazy that we had foreign-owned election machine company running our elections. Watch how big the margins Republicans win by in 26. And that's the psyop.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that the voting machines will now lead to Republican wins. So all you Republicans that were upset about the voting machines, you don't have to be upset now. It's our turn to cheat.
We fixed it. All we had to do was sell the company.
Yeah. Now, the thing about this is it's what's possible with the machines. Here's Rasmussen Reports, and they reported this, quote, this comes out of a 185-page report. The engineer who actually built the algorithm stealing the election for Biden looked at me I'll just pull this up. So he said, on page 185 of this report on these election machines by Ralph Pizzulio, okay, he goes, on page 185, the engineer who actually built the algorithm stealing the election for Biden looked at me like I was an idiot and asked, do you think we stole the election here in the blue counties? We're smarter than that. No, We shaved off votes in the red counties, in the countryside where Trump was strong, and we left the blue counties untouched. We shaved off 10% in Douglas County, Colorado, 10% in Mesa, Colorado, and other red counties until Biden's count was over 50% statewide. So that's basically what they were doing, getting rid of votes, but not adding votes. In Democrat areas, that's where Republicans are going to go challenge to try to get the margin. They're not going to go challenge a district that they won by 60% or, 60-40, but the true margin might have been like 70-30, but they shaved off
80-20,
right? Which then means statewide, you don't get the majority. That's what their game is there.
So I would like to ask a question about that, because if they're only shaving votes off, how does that square with, the additional votes that were happening, like the 80 million vote count, for example, with Biden? I mean, I know that was the previous election, but if that was the strategy.
Well, remember, the voting machines don't control ballots. Mail-in voting controls the ballots. So the extra votes came from ballots. So the machines then had to process those ballots. So does that make sense? The machine can't, the machine can do anything it wants, but the machine wasn't adding votes. If it says we received 2,000 votes, and then you do one of those like really simple audits that the counties will do, and they're like, we only have 1,800 ballots.
Right.
That'd be a problem. So they're not adding votes. They're shaving, moving, right? In a red county, move them from red, move them over to blue, make the margin closer. That way, statewide, if you barely win Philadelphia by 51%, but you don't win any other county by more than 50.1%, then what happens is you end up having a razor thin margin, and we get John Fetterman.
Okay.
So, did you know after John Fetterman and his debate with Dr. Oz, the number one Googled thing in the state of Pennsylvania was, how do I change my vote? You know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So
that's so funny.
When Dr. Oz was running against Fetterman had the stroke, and he could not talk, like, at all. He
I remember that.
Couldn't talk. So they had a debate, and they hooked up like an early version of Google Chat, and he'd say like 2 or 3 words and click a button, and then Google would give the answer. we covered this on the podcast. Yeah. We're like, how do we even know these Fetterman's answers? Like, nobody knows what's in his brain. And Pray the Rosary Day says, you can do the show remotely. Yeah, I know. Isn't it great? Look, we're here.
Compared to yesterday, we should probably do this every day.
Yeah, oh my God. Yesterday I wanted to. Yeah, it was rough. Okay, so anyways, John Fetterman couldn't talk, and he had that chat thing working for him. Well, after the debate, at that point, when they had the debate, and they pushed off the debate and pushed it off and pushed it off, and so by the time they had the debate, the people were already voting. People had voted against Oz and voted for brain dead Fetterman, which it's hilarious that he ended up being the anti-Democrat.
Yeah.
Because really, I don't know, maybe your vote for was better than Oz. I don't know.
Well, there was so much screwiness going on with that whole election cycle that I wasn't even sure who I was really for. I was like, man, I don't even know who I'm supposed to be supporting here.
I know. So I'm up here in Spokane because we just did a screening of a movie called Birthright, and at the screening, and obviously, the room's full of patriots. I don't know. I think we had 87 or 90 people show up.
Probably some good feels.
It was a great meeting, right? It was a great event. 87, 90 plus people, this really nice theater in downtown Spokane. And anyways, at the end, there was a Q&A session. It's because a lot of the people that spoke on the video were there, and myself, J6 was mentioned in the video and stuff like that. So we got up to do a little discussion, and someone in the audience stands up after like the second question, and he stands up and goes, my answer isn't going to be very popular in this crowd probably, but I'm a journalist, and we got some tips that you guys were going to be here today. I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyways, he just, he does that. Everything in the video was unverifiable. And we're like, what was unverifiable? Like, this, you have to see the video, but it took like a year. Every sentence they went through and not just fact checked, but like legal checked, right? Because it makes a lot of claims and stuff like that. And so they're like, we literally showed you the codes in the video. It's false, fact checked, wrong. So anyways, kind of got into it with the guy in front of everybody. Had to cut him off because he was taking everybody else's time. But afterwards, I went and met with him outside of the theater. And he asked me about J6. And he's like, well, why did you go to January 6th? And I was like, well, because I feel as strongly then as I do today that the 2020 election had a lot of fraud and shenanigans in it. And he looked at me like, you really believe that? And I'm like, you've not looked at one thing. Right. So then he's like, well, give me some example. Wasn't it litigated? I was like, no.
Oh, geez.
So I explained the doctrine of laches and how people brought cases before the election. Oh, it's too early. No harm's been done. The election hasn't even happened. You don't know if a rule was broken. And then as soon as the election happens, oh, it's too late to decide. The moment's passed. Laches. I was like, that doesn't work. If a politician running in the office doesn't have standing, who does? Who? Seriously, who has standing? Can't, nobody can. So anyways, I said after January 6th, I had to take a really good hard look in the mirror and really look at the election and decide if I was wrong. And to this day, I have not seen anything that has convinced me otherwise. Right. And I just told him, I said, listen, you haven't looked. You've trusted, everybody doing this left and right. The guy was clearly pretty left leaning. I don't want to go into, pejorative descriptions on how I might have had that feeling.
No, don't.
Yeah. Anyways, the other great thing that happened yesterday is Letitia James got indicted. Okay, before we move on to that, though, I want to finish up this election thing.
Okay.
We're going to watch this election machine with the voting machines. Obviously, there's a lot of conservatives that would just assume get rid of them.
Yes.
Obviously, Trump has a very strong stance that way. So this is where Trump is now teeing off against the Republican Party itself. The Democrats have realized their brand is tarnished. So the Uniparty is rebranding as Republicans.
Yep.
It's that simple, right? The Uniparty is rebranding as Republicans. They know the Republican Party can't do anything for 3 years. But in 3 years, they're not going to have Trump, the force of nature. They're going to have J.D. Vance, the aspiring politician. And that's going to be a different game. So controlling the elections, having Republican control doesn't fix anything. If our leaders are not elected and they're selected, it's never going to work. Whether in my generation or my children's, there'll be more pain and probably worse than we've experienced today.
Yeah, you need to understand that the parties are just part of the game, and then the game is the problem, not the parties,
Ron, it's literally just a party.
That's right.
That's
a party.
all it is. Hey, what party do you belong to? It's just a party. It's just a club, right? But it's a power-hungry, maniacal club. So, all right. So yesterday, Letitia James was indicted. Woo, it's so fun. Whoa. All right, so let's hear the reaction from our favorite, Morning Joe and Mika, the oddest couple on TV. I've told you, I think Mika has a deep disdain for Joe. Who knows?
And at one point it was asked, why does Trump do the things Trump does? And her answer, very simple, but goes to what Bob had said there. She said, because he can. He will do what he can do. It's that simple. If the Republican Party's not checking him in the House, he will do what he can do. He will do what he can do if Republicans aren't doing their job. If the Supreme Court is sitting back like they're doing right now and allowing him to clear everything in emergency, he will do what he can do. He will push the boundaries. He will abuse the boundaries if the Supreme Court actually won't do their job.
Yes, but the thing that I find most interesting is that in the first term, he wasn't able to do that because there were those containers there. There were those people who were trying to stop him from hurting himself, from attacking the rule of law, and from pushing the country further into chaos.
So what changed?
They're not there anymore.
Why?
Because he didn't want them there. They didn't want the John Kellys coming back.
And why? And why didn't he want? I'm getting to a point here. And why didn't he want them there?
Because they were
suck.
successful.
Because they were successful. They were successful at what? Stopping him from doing what the American people sent him there to do. Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. That's great. These people are. He's doing it because he can, or because he's supposed to, because he took an oath to uphold the law. I don't know. It just seems like, you'd think these people would figure it out at some point. Yeah. So Letitia James, the thing with, so she was indicted on she had 2 counts returned. One was fraud to a financial institution, and then the other one I think is like mortgage fraud. So the genesis of this is she's from New York. Statutorily, she's required to maintain a residence, primary residence in New York, and live there. She bought a house in Virginia that she listed as a second home. Not a problem. The way interest rates work is you get the lowest interest rate for owner occupied, second lowest for second owner occupied home, and then you go investment rental property at the highest rate. She declared on a mortgage application that this was a second home. In addition to declaring it was a second home, part of those conditions are that the house cannot be lived in, controlled, occupied, or you can otherwise diminish your ownership or controlling interest in the property. It specifically excludes renting it, timeshares, or any other type of transfer of ownership or control of the property. She immediately turned it into a rental. She's the attorney of New York. Fraud.
I think she knows those rules.
Yeah,
she knows those rules.
Yeah, she knows those rules. And the thing is they're like, oh, Letitia James just targeting Trump. This is just retribution. All right. Yeah, we've all heard it. We all heard it's retribution. But what about when, Letitia James was running for office? How did she campaign? What were the things she was saying? This was actually while she was attorney general. This is what she said about Trump last time about following the law.
You also intend,
excuse me, this was also on The View,
to prosecute after he is out of office, correct?
Joy, again, our investigation currently is civil in nature. It is not criminal. In the event that we uncover any activity or conduct, if in the event that we uncover any conduct, oh yes,
but will you go ahead with civil suits?
Yes, our civil suit will continue, whether he's president or not. And so after January 20th at 12 o'clock, our investigation will continue, Joy.
There's no way a potential pardon for Trump or his 3 eldest kids would shield them from anything you're investigating. Am I right? That's what you just said, I believe.
Correct. He cannot pardon himself. What he could do is step down and allow the Vice President Pence, to pardon him. In all likelihood, I suspect that he will pardon his family members, his children, his son-in-law, and individuals in his administration, as well as some of his close associates.
Is she talking about Trump or Biden?
That's what I was just going to ask.
Okay, hold on. Who did Trump pardon on his way out of office? Name them. Nobody. There was 0. There were 0 people he pardoned on his way out of office in 2021. How many people did Biden pardon on his way out of office in 2020?
I can't even name them all.
Hunter on his way
Fauci.
out. Fauci. All of his closest cabinet members. An entire congressional committee and their staff. Wrap your brain around that for a second. An entire congressional committee and their staff, your sister, your brother-in-law, your brother.
Don't forget the pre-crimes.
Do you got? Let's play this again. This is important. Okay. The art of projection.
Pardon him. In all likelihood, I suspect that he will pardon his family members, his children, his son-in-law, and individuals in his administration, as well as some of his close associates. And then
Biden did that.
Yeah.
This is the biggest self-own I've ever seen. Your party, I suspect since Trump's a criminal, he'll do the following criminal acts. And Biden did those things, and the suspicion was they were the criminals. And by the way, Letitia James got to run all of her investigations to ground, right? Oh, all right, let's see.
Point in time, he will step down and allow the vice president to pardon him. Now, it's important to understand he is pardoned from federal crimes, but he is not pardoned from state crimes. Last year, I introduced a bill in the state legislature, which would close the pardon loophole so that individuals such as the President of the United States would not evade justice. It's important that we have this check on presidential powers. And in the legislature, the state legislature, I'm so happy they passed that bill, and it is now the law in the state of New York. President Trump cannot avoid justice in the great state of New York.
Okay, so they actually changed the law in order to come after Trump. Yes. Oh, it wasn't selective at all. It wasn't selective at all. This is classic. It's by your fruits you shall know them. It wasn't just you committed a crime, you do the time, right? You had to manipulate the law and the environment in order to create a targeting opportunity, because you couldn't target him because he followed the law. He's been in business for 60 years as an adult, and has presumably never, I'm sure he's been sued 1,000 times, but he's never been to jail. I've never heard him being found criminally liable for anything. You had to manipulate loopholes in, not really big loopholes. We're talking like if you're pardoned, the pardon sticks. You know
well,
what I mean?
He's got 34 felonies, right? I mean, how many felonies did he have before that?
Yeah, not very many. And here's the thing. Everybody's accusing Trump of weaponizing the government. Well, clearly you just heard Letitia James. What is that? I'm going to weaponize the government. You're not just going to allow Trump to go off into the dark or into the night like Trump allowed Hillary Clinton to go off.
We'll get him. We got him. He can't get away.
Yeah, you throw some shade his way from time to time, but there weren't investigations on Obama. There weren't open investigations on Hillary that Trump started, at least, right? He let it go. Biden comes into office, and Letitia James and everyone around Biden is like, retribution, we're coming after him. Can't let that Nazi ever come back. Even Hakeem Jeffries yesterday got in on the action, telling MSNBC that if the Democrats take power again, they're doing it. They're coming after Trump.
So there's two things to keep in mind here. First of all, there's accountability for the corruption and the chaos that Donald Trump has unleashed on the American people from the very beginning of his presidency.
Accountability for the corruption and chaos.
Yeah.
And what about crimes? Are there crimes? Can you name some crimes? Oh, just accountability for chaos. So would we call this era now accountability for the chaos of an open border? Is it fair to say that it's okay to get retribution for chaos? Right? What are you getting retribution for, Hakeem Jeffries? Is there an actual crime that's being committed, or is it just literally the chaos? As in, you're disturbing our normal way of doing things.
On January 20th, that should be tied directly to the Supreme Court and the 6 right-wing justices who basically gave Donald Trump, without justification, blanket immunity. And he's been out of control ever since. So that's problem number one. Problem number two, of course, is the fact that there are so many different corrupt sycophants within the Department of Justice. Now, these people don't have immunity. And the reality is, the statute of limitations is 5 years.
Listen,
the fact
this
that
is
there
important.
are so many different corrupt sycophants within the Trump administration, including but not limited to within the Department of Justice. Now, these people don't have immunity. And the reality is, the statute of limitations is 5 years, and there will be accountability with the next administration, if not before, when Democrats take back control of the House of Representatives.
Did you hear that, Ron? Did he just threaten DOJ members for doing their job?
I felt threatened, personally.
Personally? Yeah, there will be accountability. The Democrats, there's no love lost between us and them. There's no love lost between us and the Republican Party, per se, right? But that is the problem. That is what I don't hear coming out of a conservative Republican. I don't hear this idea of we're going to come after everybody that's just doing their jobs, right? Think about how angry people are about Trump firing people involved in January 6th investigations and stuff like that. We just found out yesterday that the Department of Justice and the FBI had over 60% of FBI agents engaged in January 6th investigations. 60%, Ron. January 6th investigations. Me, your FBI was chasing me and my friends and people like me, and not kidnappers, not Thomas Crook's affiliations, not, cartels, nothing. Huge emphasis on white, cisgendered, mostly male, legacy Americans who walk around with pocket constitutions. That's who they came after. Okay? These people, this is a zero-sum game. One side has to lose, one side has to win. This is not a matter of we'll just get past it or we'll just get along. This is not about vengeance. This is about accountability and justice. They feigned accountability. They feigned justice. Now Trump is going to execute real justice. And these guys aren't going to know what hit them, right? When you read Letitia James' indictment, it reads different than Trump's indictments, right? Trump's indictments, you're being told a story. In Letitia James' indictments, it's like, here's the financial facts. Here's the house that was bought. Here's when she signed on the dotted line. Here's what the contract said. Guilty. You know what I mean? Not hard to figure out. And this is with everything. We have been told in our face over and over again, but people like that journalist last night in Spokane, they don't know how to listen. They don't know what they're looking to. This was James Clapper years ago on Anderson Cooper's show, and he's talking about how if it weren't for Obama, we would have never done any of this Russiagate, Spygate investigation stuff. This was years ago. And James Clapper basically told us, oh yeah, this all came down from the top. This is the kind of stuff where it's like, so you just openly admitted treason on air and we're all supposed to pretend like this didn't happen?
Jim Comey and I are part of the group that were tasked by President Obama to put together all the reporting we had on the Russian interference.
Former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper appears to admit the Russia probe was initiated by none other than former President Barack Obama. In a recent CNN interview, Clapper discussed the findings of Special Counsel Robert Mueller, who found no collusion between Russians and...
Okay, so James Clapper admits that Obama was behind it, and at the end of the day, they found no collusion. Therefore, what would you reasonably be able to call an investigation that's opened, litigated in the public, endlessly used as political fodder, and then turns up a dud? What would you call that? A political prosecution? Weaponization of government? Lawfare? Now, if they'd have kept the investigation quiet, never told anybody about it, and determined there was no there and quietly closed the investigation, and we were all not the wiser, then you could maybe 50 years in the future when something was declassified, we could be like, oh, see, look, there's good people in the Department of Justice looking into these weird claims. I'm glad they resolved that Trump wasn't a Russian agent and let him go about doing his business. But instead,
blow it out of proportion and infect the public. And
instead, history's going to be full of Adam Schiff sound bites going, right. I saw the evidence. Do you remember the impeachment, the Ukraine impeachment? Did you watch any of it by any chance? No, I doubt you did.
No.
Okay. I was on a cruise when it happened. So that was what I was watching while I was on the cruise. Simultaneously, I'm watching Wuhan, China fall apart, and I'm watching Trump's impeachment. So I'm watching Trump's impeachment, and Adam Schiff was one of the impeachment managers, and he's up there speaking. And it's the part where he's going to get to the there. This is the smoking gun evidence. The stuff we've withheld from the public for years and years and years. This is it. This is Trump in his own words admitting that he's colluding with Russia, right? There was a big build up to this moment. And then there's Adam Schiff. Oh, dude, this is like almost worth stopping and searching for the video clip. Okay.
This is like this sounds like it's going to be Geraldo opening up the vault.
So the clip,
you know what I'm talking about?
The clip was Donald Trump in a campaign rally saying, Russia, if you're listening, why don't you hack Hillary's emails, kind of like the wiki ones, and release those? Chuck, moves on, right? He played that video and was like, he's like looking at the screen, looks back. In plain sight, he solicited Putin to help him in his campaign against his political rivals.
In plain sight.
And that was it, Ron. That was it. That's all it was. I remember sitting on the bed in the cruise boat. I was like, oh, this is it. This is before we started the podcast. This is when, I'm all for Trump. COVID hasn't happened yet. Right. And at this point, I'm just thinking this is, politics as usual. We're watching WWE. That's when I realized, oh, buddy, we're watching WWE and Trump is supposed to be the hill and he wants to be the hero. Hillary Clinton and those guys basically made a situation where Trump became the nominee because they thought they could trounce on him. They thought they could embarrass him. They thought no one would vote for this reality star, right?
Yes. And they're all like, hey, this isn't in the script. Where is
this? This isn't in the script. We're not supposed to be body slammed. So of course, MSNBC, right as the news was breaking that Letitia James was being indicted, Mark Elias and Weissman were both on MSNBC together and got to react to this indictment. It's classic. These guys are both on the list. These guys are both on the list of people Kash Patel is looking into. These guys are, Mark Elias has said, I was the one in charge of Hillary Clinton's 26 campaign. He's the one through Perkins Coie, because that was where he was working, who paid Fusion GPS for the Steele dossier and helped facilitate laundering it back into the country. So these guys really are kind of running scared. There's just no way around it. So listen to the way he describes the kind of desperation and terror and the effect of lawfare. Both of these two guys describe it. And look at their body language.
Hang on, I'm sorry to interrupt you. New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted. Andrew Weissman, your reaction?
Uh-oh.
That I want to sort of address the people who might look at this and say this is sort of tit for tat. That you see that in the Democratic administration, you see them going after Republicans, and this is Republicans going after Democrats. This is where, one, even if two wrongs don't make a right, even if that were true, but this is where facts matter. In the Letitia James case that she brought in New York, there was a trial. Facts were adduced. We all could look at those facts, and Donald Trump had a chance, an opportunity to have due process and to hear all of that. Here, the process by which this has been undertaken, like the process that was undertaken with respect to James Comey, tells you that career people and even Trump-appointed people did not think that there was evidence. There were not facts that justified this. And I think a perfect symbol of the fact that this is different, that what we're seeing is different. It is not normal. It is not everyone does it, is to take a look at Abby Lowell. Abby Lowell is the defense lawyer for Letitia James. He was also the defense lawyer for Hunter Biden. In the Biden administration, the Department of Justice actually charged and convicted the sitting president's son. And Abby Lowell represented him and defended him and lost that trial.
Yeah.
And he is now defending Letitia James. And
it didn't help that his argument was, look at this man. Look at this poor young 55-year-old child of a president of the United States who struggles with drug addiction. You can't expect him to fill out ATF complicated forms when he's got a drug addiction to buy guns. You can't honestly think that he understood that he wasn't supposed to be able to buy guns and answer questions that he's not using illegal drugs, right? I mean, no president's son can be held to a standard that high. Like that was like his defense. They didn't even try in his gun case to like refute the case. It was kind of like, it was just how do I put, like a maneuvering experiment? It was bad. It was bad, man. So the idea, Abe Lowell, look who she's representing. Yeah, exactly. Lisa Cook, Adam Schiff, Letitia James. It seems like there was another Abe Lowell. The CDC director or person that RFK fired, working with Abe Lowell. Like, it sounds to me like we're looking at the cabal.
He's very serious. I mean? He's very serious, though, in his delivery. He's very serious.
Listen, man, I need to, it's overplayed to just be like, oh, look at the body language, or, oh, these guys are in their pants. It's overplayed to say that. But as somebody who went to a event and then started seeing people on TV getting arrested for that event, and then had the FBI come to his house and get into contact, and then get a wanted poster from DC, there's a period of time from when you become aware you're in deep and when you actually get arrested or something happens. That period of time could be, for me, it was about a month. for some of the guys that I went to prison with, they spent a solid 2.5, 3 years watching drones fly over their house, weird cars parked at the end of their driveway, weird things happening on their phones, clicking in and out when they're making phone calls, right?
Yeah.
That's where these guys are. Do you remember the text message from the attorneys at the Eastern District of Virginia saying, hey, delete this, they might be watching us?
Yep.
Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine being Mark Elias being like, should I call my co-conspirators and try to come up with a plan on how to get out of this? Well, then they could throw on an obstruction charge. How do I get a message? Do you see what I'm saying? What are they watching? We know the tools that can be used, the surveillance apparatus that can be used. What tools are they using? Oh my goodness. I got not a hilarious text message, but I got a text message this morning. Wherever my phone is. So I got a text message this morning, and I considered this, to the person who sent this, if you're listening, I apologize, but I considered this a little bit of a panicking message. However, it had a couple things that I wanted to point out. So I got this message from someone, and this is from Wired magazine. ICE is planning to build a 24/7 social media surveillance team to target people for deportation. According to government documents obtained by Wired, ICE is planning to hire 30 private contractors to monitor major social media platforms around the clock, with the goal of gathering intel to help coordinate raids and deportations. Per Wired, the contractors would, quote, operate as intelligence arms of ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations Division. They will receive tips and incoming cases, research individuals online, and package the results into dossiers that could be used by field offices to plan arrests. Platforms they intend to surveil will include X, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Reddit. Okay. ICE currently, at this moment, Ron, as we're speaking, uses a surveillance database developed by data firm Palantir, as well as a tool called Graphite, developed by Israel spyware software Paragon, which can allegedly, this is published by Wired magazine, but the information's coming from DHS, ICE. They're developed by Israeli spy company Paragon, which can allegedly remotely hack apps like WhatsApp and Signal. According to the documents obtained by Wired, ICE might also incorporate AI into its existing digital surveillance efforts. Signal? Now, we knew Signal had a backdoor by the FBI, but they're just exploiting it. It's not an occasional backdoor they use. They're running AI programs through it. They opened the barn door. Signal, not safe, not private. WhatsApp, we've known WhatsApp wasn't private since Facebook took it over, right? It used to be encrypted end to end. These are not safe. These are not safe apps. Now, the message I got with it was, notice it doesn't say anything about immigrants or whom specifically they plan to deport. Now, the left is trying to get people to think that American citizens are accidentally getting deported. It's not happening. It's not happened once. And I had to remind this person, this article came from Wired. They left out the immigrants and who they're spying on, right? It's clearly for illegals being deported. However, as we emphasize on this show over and over again, any tool you give the government can and will be used against you. So this is another one of those deals. Shantini, I just did a quick search for Tulsi Gabbard, revealed the charges by the Russian hoax against Obama yesterday. It was during a press release. Was she wearing a white suit? So if she was wearing a white suit, that's actually old, but those clips get circulated like they were yesterday all the time. Mm-hmm. If she was not wearing a white suit, try to find a link and send it to me. Otherwise, I didn't see it. Okay, now Katie Hunt at CNN made an awkward admission, and this isn't, if you know anything about mortgages, it's not the most surprising thing, but she makes an awkward admission about how the fact that, if Letitia James is guilty of mortgage fraud, then probably everybody is.
Aside for a second, what Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this. Right? The federal government doesn't go after all of these people for doing this. Does that aside for a second? What Tish
the
James
federal government doesn't normally go after normal people for doing this.
What is she talking about?
Mortgage fraud.
I know, but she's saying that everybody checks the box, that everybody classifies their second home this way. That's nonsense.
Everybody just calls their second home or their rentals second homes, and
no, they don't.
Everybody adds their dad to their mortgages as their husband. Like, oh.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. That's the point. They think you do. They made the rules in order to enforce them, not because they needed to be those rules. There's no harm in owning a second home, and whether it's a vacation rental or a rental, it don't make no difference. It really doesn't, right? If the mortgage gets paid, the mortgage gets paid. No harm, no foul. But why make the rule if you're gonna do it? Why lie in a government form if you're gonna fill one out? Why do it? Just don't fill it out. Don't get the loan. Don't put yourself to that. Now, do they prosecute mortgage fraud in America? Absolutely. I was in prison with guys who were there for mortgage fraud. One guy in specific, I think he was serving like 15 years, and all he was doing was giving kickbacks to his buddies. Right? I mean, like basically they'd go buy a house. They were in Missouri. They'd buy a house for $100,000, put 10 grand into it, get it reappraised at like 150, 160, take out 20, 30 grand of equity, and he would split it with the guy who bought the house and he did the work. Right? But they considered that an illegal kickback. But it appraised, who's harmed? Well, you just can't give that money to someone else. That's 15 years. 15 years. Guy'd been in prison for like 8 years at that point, and he still didn't understand what he did wrong. Okay. So yes, they do prosecute mortgage crimes. And yes, Letitia James, Adam Schiff, it appears, Lisa Cook are all kind of wrapped up in this mess. So Shantini says that Tulsi Gabbard was wearing a white outfit. This is a classic example of, the social media platforms. If you don't pay attention to the daily news cycle, now on one hand, it's really good, Shantini, that you saw that, because if you missed it when it happened 2 months ago, at least now you're aware. But it does kind of create this element of, why isn't something being done? What is being done? People are behind the 8 ball. They're not aware of what's happening. That was something I realized with that journalist last night. I was like, he has no idea what I'm talking about, right? When I'm talking about a tractor trailer full of ballots going from New York to Pennsylvania, he's like, what are you talking about? And I said, at the end, when I left him, I said, I am of the firm belief that most people, if we can see the same thing, will agree. The problem is we're not all seeing the same things. We live in these bifurcated online echo chambers. Some people don't pay attention to what's going on past 2 feet in front of their noses. People don't critically think. People don't understand logic and just reason. There's like simple logical fallacies and stuff like that.
There's a lot of apathy.
Yeah, I believe that people at their core, when you see the same thing, everybody can kind of agree. But in this instance, like with the journalist who's basically allowing, in my opinion, the government to run amok, he just doesn't see the problem. It hasn't affected him, yes. Except now, his friends are being targeted that are transgender or whatever. It's like, yeah, now it's affecting you. Wouldn't it be nice if we lived in a country that didn't have the power to persecute transgenders? Think about that for a second. Would it also not be the same country that wouldn't have the power to persecute J6 patriots? It's the same mechanism. It's the same power, right? Does that mean we want to live in a powerless country that the government can't do anything for us? No, but this is the debate, right? This is the debate. These guys want to live in a democracy. They just want the mob to rule. They just want what's popular to be what's true. Whereas we live in a republic where I want my individual rights to be maintained and upheld, because sometimes I believe something none of you guys do, and I think all of you are crazy because you're not seeing what I'm seeing, right? If you saw what I saw, I believe I could convert you over. Okay, Scott Bessent was being asked. Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan apparently predicts a stock market crash coming this fall. So we'll see. That could be fun. I mean, might be interesting. I could use a little economic shakeup. Maybe then they'll finally drop interest rates. So he responds to Jamie Dimon, who's predicting a stock market crash, and he doesn't quite think that's going to be the case. Okay, I got a lot of buttons to click here. Hold on, give me a second.
What Jamie Dimon has learned on Wall Street, there are 2 things you're never supposed to do at the same time: predict the price and the timing. So, he's saying we're going to go down. He doesn't say when. Could it be 2028? Could it be next month? We don't know. But what this administration is doing is laying solid economic ground. And under President Trump's leadership, Wall Street and Main Street can both do well. Obviously, if you're the CEO of the world's largest or America's largest bank, what you care about is Wall Street, and we care about both. what Jamie Dimon
I
has learned
appreciate
on
that.
Wall Street.
I appreciate they care about both Wall Street and Main Street. And this administration, there's no doubt that this administration, Ron, did you do something? Why is Shantini popping up
I
on
don't
the screen
know.
here?
I
Hi,
don't know. I
everyone.
was just looking into that.
Did you do something? Did she pin
No.
that? Did I pin that? What's happening?
It's gone now.
Shantini, what'd you do? Hi, everyone. Did it go away or did it come back? That's so weird. I see a little pin button up there.
Yeah, I clicked it off to get rid of it.
Did something happen? I don't know what's going on. Interesting. All right. Well, hi, Shantini. Hi, everyone. Do we care about that enough to fix it? Shantini, did you do something intentionally or was that us on our end?
I think you must have hit it on accident. There's a pin button. You can pin stuff to the... There it is right there. You can pin stuff. I didn't do it, but I don't know how it happened.
How do you unpin?
You just hit the pin button again. It's a toggle.
You know what? Are you sure?
Boop. Like that.
Did it go away?
Boop. Yeah.
Very cool. Didn't know we could do that.
I didn't either.
It's back. It's back.
What? No.
Is it? Are you sure? All right, maybe my computer's just silly. Anti-Socialist League says, Communist News Network, everyone commits this type of crime, so that makes it okay. What a clown show. Seriously, it's very true. It's all a clown show. Okay, so let me just see where we're at here. Okay, so yesterday Trump had a cabinet meeting. It was like 3.5 hours long. It was quite long. The filming of his cabinet meetings, this is the first time this has really happened in American history. It's almost always been, short little cabinet meetings. They meet for 15 minutes with the press and then they close the doors and have their cabinet meeting. Trump having these cabinet meetings out in the open, it's giving the whole world kind of a view of the deliberation process that the administration goes through. It's actually pretty significant. This one right here has to deal with pricing. So there's something that we haven't really talked about much, but there's a lot of farmers around the country that are pretty upset. Apparently soybean farmers aren't making as much money as they're supposed to, and it does have to do with some of these trade deals. This is my opinion on that. Essentially, they've become over-reliant on foreign markets. I don't know what else to say about it, right? They've been over-reliant on foreign markets. I don't like to particularly eat soy. It's not really what I consider an American food, but Asia gobbles it up. So the soybean farmers are having a problem. So Trump has offered to kick in some of the tariff revenue to try to help the soybean farmers. I mean, there's a lot going on. And then the other side of things, and we're going to play this. In fact, we're going to play this. In fact, I'm going to reverse my order on this. There's another fact in this, and that's prices. Some prices are down, but a lot of prices are not coming down. Oh, shoot. I don't have it. A lot of prices are not coming down. Marjorie Taylor Greene was on CNN of all places, and she was saying that food prices and prices haven't come down, gas hasn't come down, and farmers are getting hurt. Okay. And that's she's got a problem with that. She was even complaining about her own personal rent in DC. I think politicians should be banned of ever making personal grievance about money or paying rent or anything like that, right? It's like, shut up.
For real.
You're 2 steps away from us making an initiative that all politicians have to live in homeless shelters. You got to live in the bed you make.
You can't have a mortgage on your third home.
You cannot have a mortgage on your third home. Yes. So now some of this, the price is not coming down. It's manipulated in certain places. Some places around the country, gas prices are really low right now. Out in Washington, where we're at, they've added taxes since Trump has come in. So they've kept the prices high. We haven't seen prices come down at all, but we've seen revenues for the state of Washington climb. So that is, I think, what's going on in some places is the natural supply and demand which would cause prices to drop. There's other things being added not just the tariffs, but taxes and other things in certain spots that are causing some issues. The other thing too is you can't blame Trump for something that started a long time ago. They're trying to turn a cruise ship, right? And so it takes miles and miles to do it. And that's what the labor secretary said yesterday. A lot of the problems we're having is kind of a holdover problem from the Biden.
Here's what everyone has to understand. The farm economy is in a very uncertain time, but that isn't because of the current trade negotiations, although certainly the part of that, but we inherited a issues. First of all,
back every time. I come back every time. It's just this beautiful Spokane air. It's not great Wi-Fi. Okay, back to this.
All, as the president said, when we left Trump 1, we had an agriculture trade surplus. When we came back for Trump 2, it was a $50 billion ag deficit. That isn't everything. That's just agriculture. The second is the cost of inputs for our farmers increased on average between 30 and 38%, but that includes fertilizer. It includes fuel. It includes
the cost of inputs. So these are what she's saying, fuel, food, fertilizer, 30 to 37% in 4 years, Ron.
Oof.
Wow.
Includes interest rates. It includes labor. All of this came about under Joe Biden, a 47% increase in the cost of labor that now Secretary Chavez-DeRimmer and Noam and I are working on. Fuel is coming down. Thank you. Interest rates, thankfully, are coming down. A 73% increase in interest rates for our farmers. They couldn't get loans to make sure that
73% interest rate on farmers. Price go up 30%. Interest goes up 70%.
They could move forward. So that's all really, really important. And I think we have to realize what the president's commitment is this, that we're moving into an era of rural prosperity, of a golden age for our farmers in rural America. The trade renegotiations and the trade realignment that Jameson and Scott and Howard have led with the president's leadership is unlike anything that's happened in the history of our country. And those that will benefit the most are the original Americans, our farmers and our ranchers. The president has committed, if we need a bridge.
I almost thought that was going to be some racist thing there. Our original Americans, white property owning males, or something like that. I went to a dark place on that comment. The original Americans. I'm college educated, guys. I did get a liberal education. I understand their dark humor.
Is to get us from the Biden years to the new Trump era. That's what we're working on every day. We've got to get the government reopened so that we can move forward on that. And once we do, we'll be able to move out a significant program to help our farmers. Long term, we have to change this hamster wheel of government. We've got to ensure that the farmers have the market to sell, and it's a national security issue and onshoring a lot of the food as well.
So in the last 4 years, farmers have seen their cost of inputs go up 30+%. They've seen their interest rates go up 70%. And now when a farmer stands up in a town hall in Missouri and like, Trump's screwing us over. Is he? Is he? Is he screwing you over? Was it him? Was he the problem? Really? 9 months in? Haven't even had a harvest under Trump yet. And he's the problem? Do you get what I'm saying? The left wants to take those little things. It's a problem. What's happening to farmers is a problem, but it's not caused by Trump, right? He's trying to change it. And unfortunately, if life teaches us anything, sometimes when you need to change, there's a little bit of hurt and pain to get there. When you're on the wrong path and you got to do a little bushwhacking to get back on the right path, or you got to backtrack and it takes you extra time and energy, that's the extra pain we're probably going to have to go through to fix some of these things. How it affects us individually, I don't know. But I promise you the country, it has to go through some pain. I maybe it's just me. I don't want to live in a country where in 4 months, silver even has the capacity to go from $25 an ounce to $50. I don't want to have that happen. I like silver. I'm silver backed. I invest in silver. But that makes me really uncomfortable for my friends and family who save their money in dollars.
Yeah.
It makes me worry they're going to need to borrow some of my silver someday. You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem. You can't have cost of goods go up 10% year over year because you can't adjust your prices fast enough. You
It's too volatile.
It's too volatile. Yes, and the Fed is supposed to create stability, but we're at the point where they can't do it. That's too much, right? It's just too much. So that's pretty interesting. The other thing too is Theo Vaughn had Kara Connolly. She is a former Boston detective, and she talks about what she believes is an intentional destruction of our inner cities and population centers. And Ron, we can talk about this because she mentioned Seattle. Well, let's see if this is what we have experienced here.
Okay.
That's why Mass and Cass, you've heard of the part of Boston. I don't know if you've heard of the part of Boston called Mass and Cass. It is a disaster down there. There's guys everywhere. They're all over the streets, destroying property. There's needles all over the city in South End and that area. It's kind of, it was focused there, and now they've tried to kind of break it up the last few years because it was insane. And now they've pushed it out. Yeah, there was 10 cities down there. Look at this shit.
Yeah, and look, and some people say this is just a bill.
They have safe shoot-up zones there. They're letting them shoot up heroin in safe places.
Oh, yeah.
So now the needles are all over the South End, and the poor people in the South End, they pay a lot of money to live there. There's a beautiful brownstones, and now there's people shitting in their front yards, throwing needles everywhere, breaking it. Say a guy was breaking into a house while people was under construction on the second floor. This was just a few weeks ago. And there's a guy's family's there with his kids, and they had like an old key or something, and they were breaking in and going to like shit in the floor on the second floor that was under construction. He went up, and there's like a pile of human shit in his house. He's like, what is going on? They put up cameras. The guy was going in and out every night to like sleep on the floor in his house under construction, and then shit on the floor.
It's like the emoji or whatever.
Yeah, like what is wrong with you? That part of the city, I feel bad for people who live down there.
Oh,
that's Atkinson Street.
Yeah,
that's
where is it?
It's Atkinson Street. It's near the jail.
Yeah. Well, and look, and a lot of people say this is just a Bill's tailgate or something over here. I'm
No,
not saying
it's
that. Some people say this is a Pinto tailgate. I'm not saying that. What we're saying is that this is a lot of drug use that's happening over there in this town in Boston.
Yeah.
But here's another thing, though. They have this everywhere.
So the homeless encampment is not just a tailgating party?
That's so funny.
Right now.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Every city has this.
Every democratically run city, I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Well, we don't have one here. I know that. I hope not anyway. I don't know.
Austin got ruined.
Austin
was a blast. And I took my daughter there several years. I'd been there 10 years ago, and I was like, this is the coolest place. Reminds me of here a little bit, like 6th Street where all the bars used to be.
Yeah.
And then I went back a few years later because my daughter's way into music. I wanted to take her. And she was afraid to get out of the car. There were homeless people sleeping in hammocks strung from street signs in the street. And it was just rampant. Before if you're homeless, you got arrested there.
Yeah.
Which isn't the best thing, but you got to do something. They're like throwing bricks through all the windows that have been there a long time. Austin got ruined. Seattle's a shithole. Portland.
Yeah. Portland is, I'll have to sneeze, but Portland is a shithole, but also it's awesome. I will say this.
Yeah, I was up there when I do landscape photography as a hobby, or used to, and I went up to Oregon and Washington, and I love it's the coolest place. Like
Portland's
it's such a cool vibe, you know. And
but
it's
yeah, I do
ruined.
think that element that's out there, it's like, why are we it's like,
I don't know their end game. Like, what is the point of ruining all these cities?
I think they want it to just, they want us to deteriorate. They want us to have no sense of purpose, right? They want us to like not have any pride in the places where we are because they've been so riddled. They get people addicted. The opioid epidemic was put on America and was allowed to occur, right? They want
it wasn't
this
like that when I was young.
No, they want this to happen.
Yeah.
It's no doubt to me that this is an organized agenda.
Yeah, I don't get it.
But I believe that people can fight back, and I believe that
I think it started a little bit.
I think so, and I hope so. And also, it gives you a sense of purpose in the world. It's like you're here to defeat evil, and we are all can be a part of that. And I think it's something that makes us feel that way.
Did he just say that we can fight homelessness and that can give us purpose in the world? Is that how I understood that last one?
He said we could fight evil.
Fight evil, okay, gives you purpose in the
world.
world.
I agree with him 100%.
Yeah, I do too. Okay. So Pam Bondi, after yesterday's, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? 2 days ago. No, it's not yesterday. A couple days ago when they had the Antifa roundtable with the different journalists, she recorded this about Antifa. They're coming after Antifa. Now, I got no problem with them coming after Antifa, right? I got no problem. If you committed a real crime, you got to do the time. Okay. I find myself watching this Pam Bondi video feeling very similar to how I felt when Merrick Garland or Matthew Graves used to make videos about J6ers. So I'm just saying, I don't want to become the thing I hate. I don't. And the reason I play this stuff and I say this to you is I want you as a peasant to realize if you're wrapped up in the team play, it's okay to be on a team. It's okay to prefer one party over the other. It's fine. But when you make it about winning and you make it about team play over actual things that happened, right? You need to realize, for me, I never tried to run from accountability for J6. I basically expected the $65 protest ticket, right? The obstruction of Congress, that was a little absurd. The firearm enhancement for a bike rack, that seemed a little unreasonable. I don't want to see those types of things happen to Antifa. I don't want to see them get enhancements beyond what they actually did. Does that make sense? But at the same time, I recognize that Antifa is not J6 Taylor, who's unaffiliated and didn't go to J6 with some master plan. Antifa
Well, we want
operates
all
with a
people
master
that
plan.
we want all people that have committed crimes to face actual time for actual crimes.
Accountability. Yeah.
Yes, actual. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a little bit of the opinion that for most good Americans who've, quote, never been in trouble, you actually don't need to send them to prison to correct behavior.
I think what you're trying to do is describe the distinction between how you see the world and how Hakeem Jeffries sees the world.
Exactly. Exactly. So this is Pam Bondi talking about going after Antifa, which they're going to do it, and they should. But again, I just have these like flashback memories of Merrick Garland or Matthew Graves giving similar speeches.
Antifa beats journalists. Antifa attacks our police stations. They attack our courthouses. They dox our law enforcement officers. No more. They are a terrorist group, and we are coming after them.
We are here at the White House today to unmask Antifa, to follow the money all the way to the top. If you want to get to the bottom of who is fomenting this chaos and violence in our country, you must follow the money.
I was a mainstream reporter in Seattle for 10 years before I quit mainstream media, in part due to its refusal to acknowledge the dangers of Antifa and radical left-wing violence.
Part of the problem that we have is that a lot of people refuse to believe that Antifa is real, is just a made-up thing, but I have seen them. They are real, they are dangerous, and they are violent.
They are an organized, systemic, international criminal enterprise. And what the FBI is going to do is trace the money, follow the funds, and find every single person that was involved in funding the riots and the violent acts of criminality that they're perpetrating on our street.
I've watched Antifa brutally beat, harass, and threaten Americans in the street, but all of that ends with the Trump administration.
I was brutally attacked and almost killed by Antifa in the streets of Seattle. All of my colleagues have been attacked. I can't think of a single one who hasn't.
This feels like those videos when they would have the police officers from January 6th, do this exact same thing. We're going after MAGA grandma because I got hurt on January 6th, because I got
Fire
hit by a
extinguishers.
flagpole. Huh?
By a fire extinguisher or
By
whatever.
fire extinguisher. Yeah, exactly. Well, the fire extinguishing thing actually never happened. But yes, that's exactly the point here. It's like, hey, this happened to me. This is why we need to make these people terrorists.
Violence against journalists and police officers in our streets can't stand.
Just days ago, I was in the Portland jailhouse, and now I'm in the White House. This administration is built different, and Antifa's days are numbered.
And I want to thank President Donald Trump for designating Antifa a terrorist organization, and I'm looking forward to the FBI and the DOJ hunting down these people like the terrorists that they are.
All I gotta say, it's a bad day to be Antifa.
And Antifa's days of using violence and intimidation against their political opposition are over.
And I've continued to report on them over the years, despite the threats of violence and actual violence that's happened, because I owe a thank you to this country, the United States, for settling my parents who were victims of communism in Vietnam.
1 month ago, Charlie Kirk was murdered by a violent leftist. We all saw it, and we all saw thousands of leftists celebrate it. Antifa symbols were found on the bullet casings of the gun used to shoot and kill my friend.
We won't take it anymore. President Trump is not going to stand for it. And I'm so grateful that we have a leader in the White House that understands how we need to fight these sophisticated networks and how we need to take these terrorists out.
I've been attacked by Antifa, doxxed by Antifa, harassed by Antifa, but we're not standing down. We're now coming for you.
We're coming for you, Ron. We're coming for
right.
you. There is a difference there is a difference between going after Antifa and going after Proud Boys or MAGA or whatever, right? At the end of the day, there are real crimes, real property crimes, things happen. Proud Boys don't walk around graffitiing things. They don't. Even in their drinking club days, when they're meeting and going out at night, they weren't doing property damage. They weren't stealing things. You know what I mean? That's very different environment. Antifa, very much disrespect for the law, openly want to overthrow the United States government, espouse principles of an anarchy to bring about communism and socialism. Proud Boys just want to drink, wave American flags, and have a strong military.
Well, and property destruction is the base right of every Antifa member.
That is a great assessment. Property destruction is a base right of every Antifa member. So they're very different groups. I'm simply saying, when you hear the noise about, well, Trump's an authoritarian dictator. Yeah, he's doing the thing that Biden did that, had we been real terrorists, would have been totally justified. But we weren't. And that's the problem. The definitions of words. What does it mean to be a terrorist? What is it? You know what I mean? Like the individual rights and liberties, my day in court, all that stuff, they didn't care. That's the difference with Trump. We'll see how the trials and prosecutions go. If it's the same, like, you know, if we get a daily drumbeat, Antifa member from Portland sentenced to 22 years in prison. He wasn't present at the courthouse, but he sent a message to his friends at the courthouse. You know what I mean? If we start seeing that, then we know that we've missed the mark. But if we start seeing 1, 2, 3, 5-year sentences for property destruction, then we're kind of on track.
Yep.
5 years is a long time in prison, man. I feel so bad for these people. I just want to go shake them and be like, wake up, don't do it. Okay. So the last thing is the Antifa movement, the tranny movement, and this movement in America to divide us along what I'm going to call moral social lines. Okay. Like gender and sexuality and things like that. Apparently they've pretty much traced the money and they know exactly where this is coming from. This is Peter Schweitzer, who has written multiple books, Clinton Cash, others. He's someone who does investigative journalism into looking into the money. Oh, you guys are going to want me to share the screen. It's too many buttons.
Oh yeah.
The biggest funders of the radical transgender movement in America are actually Chinese-based billionaires. One of them is Roy Singham. His organization, through the People's Forum, has done a lot to support the radical transgender movement. The other one is Joe Tsai. Joe Tsai is the co-founder of Alibaba, which is a massive company. He has poured tens of millions of dollars. They are not trans themselves. There's no evidence. They have family members that are trans. Both of them advocate strongly for these rights in the United States. They never bring them up in China. Both of them take pro-CCP positions. And the CCP has said they don't even want effeminate characters on television because it's going to demasculate China. So it seems to me quite absurd to say, I love the CCP, I'm all in. Yeah. But I'm in favor of these trans rights. I think the more logical explanation is they view this as a form of warfare against the United States. The biggest funders of the radical
Anna Paulina Luna presented the idea that China had a tie-in, a funding tie-in, and she named this Nelville guy. We know that the shooter of Charlie Kirk was part of this. Oh, I need to turn my camera on. Shooter of Charlie Kirk was part of this transgender tranny group, right? Boyfriend was a tranny. Candace, other people have been floating the idea, and we've kind of gone along with it, that Israel could be behind it, right? If we take out the lone shooter option, that Israel could be behind it. Charlie was afraid of the Israel lobby. But you have Anna Paulina Luna who says it's China. Here's my take. I think it is China. I don't know if China had a direct tie, like go kill Charlie Kirk, but China's the one that's funding these trans groups and things like that. And it's go read the Red Scarf Girl book. It's a cultural revolution. They're trying to break our culture to make us upset at our government for allowing it to happen, which then causes us to overthrow our government. And then the Bolsheviks run in and take power. It's classic. It's classic communist takeover. And we're just watching it happen. So, all right, guys. Ron, you got anything else to say?
No.
Okay, well, it was so great having you guys today. Thank you for joining me in beautiful Spokane, Washington. Well, geez, hold on. I got technology everywhere falling down.
I guess I'll say go out and be the thing that you want to see in the world.
Go out and be the thing you want to see in the world. Look at that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful view. We are lucky to be alive, folks. It's a lot better view than my friend Earl in his homeless shelter in Iowa. We all carry our own cross, I guess. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you guys all again tomorrow. Bye.